Right, good morning parents. Thank you very much for coming today. This parent talk we're doing about online safety is part of a discussion that we've been having in our team around the child TAC meetings. So we've been talking a lot about online issues, and over the last several years we've seen a steady increase in the number of problems associated with children's use of digital technologies, and in particular children's use of social media. So today in this presentation I'm going to give you an overview of real problems that we've been facing in school, and also give you some practical guidance as to how you can tackle those problems at home. And we'll wrap up by talking about the home-school partnership, how we can collaborate between home and school. As I've mentioned, this is a TAC, Team Around the Child discussion. We've had our Brazilian director, Ms. Fernanda, who's here with us, involved. We've also had our educational psychologists involved in this talk, and Mr. Andy, head of site. So let's make a start. And we'll start by discussing the basics. So many of the problems that we see when it comes to online issues, online problems involving children, are in relation to bullying. Now, it's important for you to know that as a school we follow the Brazilian legal definition of bullying, which is defined as a practice of acts of physical or psychological violence intentionally and repeatedly. Obviously, when we're talking about cyberbullying, it's very distinct from what we would associate with conventional bullying. Cyberbullying is a crime in Brazil, and obviously parents are ultimately responsible, which is another reason why we're holding this presentation. In my experience from several years of seeing cyberbullying cases, it's unique in a very interesting way. When we think about normal conventional bullying, you have the perpetrator, the bully, the author, and you have the target, the individual being targeted by the bullying. And they're generally in close proximity. But of course, with cyberbullying, there's a child behind a screen, and they cannot see the child that they're bullying, not very closely necessarily. And that's why in most of the cyberbullying cases that I've seen at the British school, and I've seen several now, in not one of those cases did the child recognize what they were doing as bullying. They saw what they were doing as having fun, having a laugh, getting some likes, getting some attention. Yesterday, I delivered an assembly to all of upper primary children, and we were looking at the terminology, the words we use around bullying. And in collaboration with our educational psychology team, we've been using this vocabulary with the children. So we have words, instead of using the word bully, we're using more and more the word author, the person who perpetuates the bullying, the person who's responsible for the acts of psychological aggression and violence or physical violence. You've got the target, the victim, otherwise known as the victim of bullying. Now what's interesting is when we're looking at this vocabulary, it's very, very useful when we come to talk about cyberbullying. Because in a scenario of cyberbullying, you have many, many, many more bystanders. The people who observe what's happening and sit back and do nothing. They see what's going on and they do nothing. And we've seen this in every single cyberbullying situation in the school, where there's been, for example, a WhatsApp group with many, many children in the WhatsApp group. Most of the children have nothing to do with the bullying taking place, but they're nevertheless bystanders. They're observing the chat, they're observing the unfriendly banter, they're observing the mean comments, they're observing the stickers, that sort of thing, that's hurting another child. And then you've got the co-authors, the children who are not the main bully or the main author of the bullying, but the children who are giving the bully, the author, encouragement and encouraging the bad behaviour towards another child. And then you've got the upstander, and this is what we've been talking to the children a lot about doing and being. So yesterday our assembly was focused on the topic of leadership, and we were talking about leaders in terms of being upstanders. So our aim is obviously for all children to be an upstander, by which we mean a child that stands up for someone being targeted by bullying. And in a WhatsApp group conversation, for example, there's a big potential for all of the children to be upstanders when they see certain comments or certain behaviour within the group that's unfriendly towards others. Yesterday, in fact, I was dealing with a situation involving YouTube, where we have some Year 5 students who have YouTube accounts. And one Year 5 student was posting some very negative comments on another Year 5 student's YouTube account. But the only reason I know about this is because there were upstanders, other children who saw that YouTube channel and saw the negative comments this other child was receiving. So in that way we can have action. And in fact, this whole discussion we're having here today has only been made possible because of upstanders, people telling us what's been happening, either parents or children themselves. So a big part of the work we're doing in school is to teach children about digital citizenship, how to be, basically in simple terms, a good person online. I hope you've all heard now about our Good Citizens Club. Obviously, this is a digital version of that. So at the beginning of the year, we have e-safety lessons and digital citizenship lessons to talk to the children about how to be safe online and how to behave appropriately online, because many of the issues that we're seeing online are very unique. They do leave a digital footprint. If they take someone's image but does not belong to them and they post it online, that basically is there potentially forever. And I'm going to show you some examples of that shortly. So we do need to support and supervise children in this online environment, and parents need to be aware of the challenges that we're facing in school. And by being aware and taking action, we're creating an environment that's much safer for the children, and hopefully creating an environment where all the children are good digital citizens, and not only good digital citizens, but they're also upstanders. Here's some interesting facts taken from the Brazilian government statistics department. Brazil actually is unique in the sense that Brazil is one of the top nations in terms of clocking up the most hours online. So Brazil actually averages 9 hours a day of internet usage, which is just phenomenal. But you can understand it. If you just think of the amount of times people are checking their phones, going online, it adds up. So on average, it's almost 9 hours a day. Most children and adults, this figure includes adults as well. Most children in this age group, Year 6, which is partly why we're doing this presentation for Year 6, not the only reason, But in this age group, most children now have a mobile phone, a cell phone, and they have a social media account or a WhatsApp account. And we know that it affects children's mental health and adults' mental health as well. There's lots and lots of evidence out there to show that. And we know that early habits affect long-term online behavior. In Brazil and around the world, you'll see headlines like this. Cyberbullying affecting 1 in 6 children in school at some point. The problem as well with cyberbullying compared to conventional bullying is it's so easy. And the way I often think of social media is it amplifies. So it creates a bigger audience potentially, and the effects can be more long term. I'm going to show you a short video now, which does not necessarily have anything to do with bullying, but it has been another issue we've seen in Brazil and in other countries around the world, and sadly is an issue we have seen in this school. So it's a video on Instagram, so I'm just going to open that video for you now.
De desafio de internet é alerta para os pais sobre os riscos que os filhos correm nessa terra de ninguém, que são as redes sociais.
Uma competição para ver quem inala a maior quantidade de aerosol e por mais tempo. Em Pernambuco, Brenda, de 11 anos, foi internada em parada cardiorrespiratória e não resistiu. A suspeita da morte é inalação de desodorante.
Esses gases, os mais comuns são o propano, o butano. Eles, quando inalados em grande quantidade, eles substituem o oxigênio. Então a gente não consegue o oxigênio que a gente precisa.
Desafios assim se multiplicam na internet. Há anos, no chamado Desafio Benadryl, a ideia é tomar altas doses de um antialérgico e filmar os efeitos da superdosagem. Em outro, o jogo é filmar um cotonete. Quem participa ignora os sérios riscos respiratórios. A lista é grande. Colar a boca com super bonder, sufocar até desmaiar. O objetivo é o mesmo: levar o corpo ao limite, filmar e exibir.
E tudo isso chega facilmente às mãos das crianças e adolescentes, principalmente por meio das redes sociais. Aqui, olha, nos celulares e tablets. Um acesso que acontece cada vez mais cedo e se torna um enorme desafio às famílias.
So that was one video. We have had these sorts of problems in school, and I'm going to talk about a specific example that we've seen with our Year 6 students involving very risky behaviour being recorded on video and then shared on a public online forum. Before I show you that, I'm also going to show you another issue that we've seen in the past involving female students.
Uma criança, né, fazendo uma coreografia. E esse, o que você acha? Olha esse aqui que interessante, um pouquinho diferente, né? Eles não têm nada demais? Ou será que eles têm um problema? Muita gente está comentando sobre algumas músicas, algumas coreografias de músicas que tem uma letra mais erótica, sensual. Eu mesma não veria problema nenhum nesses vídeos, né? Que são crianças se divertindo, se eu não tivesse encontrado eles em um perfil de pornografia infantil. Aqui no Instagram. Que me foi enviado porque eu sou ativista pela erradicação da violência sexual e era para eu ajudar a denunciar, justamente para derrubar esse perfil. Eu sou a Sheilika Leff, coordeno um grupo de apoio a vítimas de violência sexual chamado As Incríveis Mulheres que Vão Morrer Duas Vezes e pesquiso esse tema há bastante tempo. trazer para você, pai, mãe, cuidador, qualquer pessoa responsável por uma criança. As crianças não têm maldade. E realmente, se você está lançando lá na sua casa, eu não vejo problema nenhum. Mas registrar isso e colocar na internet é alimentar esse tipo de site. Você pode ver que os vídeos individualmente não são um problema, mas eles fazem todos juntos. E não apenas com vídeos assim de dancinha. Junto tem vídeo de mulher adulta, tem vídeo erótico, tem vídeo de nudez, no mesmo ambiente. Então, no conjunto, isso vira pornografia. Não é pornografia na intenção original, lógico, nem da criança, nem dos pais, nem de quem postou o vídeo. Mas vira pornografia quando entra num contexto pornográfico. E é isso que a gente tem que ter em mente. Infelizmente, nós não podemos ser ingênuos no mundo digital.
O mundo tem uma princesa e essa é a minha.
Princesinha, princesinha, princesinha.
E o mundo digital pode ser bem agressivo, bem perverso e bem violento com as crianças. E é nossa responsabilidade protegê-las. Então eu fiz esse compilado de vídeos, foi muito difícil fazer, foi muito difícil assistir. Eu joguei esse pixelado em cima e vocês vão ver aqui, né, eu zapeando, eu estou caminhando pelas informações desse perfil para vocês verem que é uma quantidade imensa, imensa, e é horroroso. Mas eu fiz isso para que você comece a ficar esperto em que tipo de coisa você está filmando, você está permitindo seus filhos, seus sobrinhos filmarem, porque muitos dá para ver que é a criança dá o play, porque ela tem celular, e a criança dá o stop. Dá para ver, ela se aproxima, dá o play, dança, volta e dá o stop. Quem publica isso? Ela está com acesso à rede? Não está? Então isso individualmente não é nada, mas existem contextos. E esses vídeos, e talvez a sua filha esteja aí, a sua sobrinha esteja aí, estavam num site pornográfico, numa página pornográfica. Sempre que você for denunciar esse tipo de coisa, você tem que cuidar para não reproduzir o vídeo como ele estava, porque senão ele pode ser usado justamente para isso. Esse foi o meu maior medo. Mas eu decidi fazer. Para vocês analisarem, então, o tipo de dança, o tipo de contexto onde isso pode parar. E eu quero que vocês vejam também que tem meninas de todo mundo, que eu tenho música em espanhol, eu tenho música com algum som oriental que eu não sei qual é. Então são músicas do mundo inteiro, são crianças do mundo inteiro juntas para que pedófilos se dividam. Vamos ter atenção ao que a gente filma e ao que a gente posta. Infelizmente, gente, eu não queria que fosse assim. Juro para vocês. Eu sou a pessoa que para postar uma foto de um sobrinho meu, um vídeo de um sobrinho meu, eu peço autorização para as minhas irmãs. Nunca poste nada. Se você não é mãe e pai dessa criança, e se você for mãe, você tem que falar com o pai, se for pai, tem que falar com a mãe, vocês têm que se conversar antes dessas autorizações. Não dá, não é possível. Porque é tudo muito sério. Essa imagem vai ficar ali para sempre. Aqui vocês estão vendo pedacinhos, esses vídeos estão lá. E ali é uma página, saber lá em quantos lugares elas já foram expostas dessa forma. Então, atenção, por favor, desculpem por esse vídeo, eu sei que ele é difícil. Eu não coloquei spoiler de é conteúdo agressivo, porque não é um conteúdo agressivo. É o conteúdo que a gente produz diariamente. Então, atenção, por favor. E aqui no meu perfil tem um material sobre violência sexual, se você quiser clicar lá, tem muita coisa, várias indicações de leitura, de como proteger as crianças, de como se proteger, do que fazer em caso de violência sexual, enfim, espero ajudar vocês. Tem muita gente bacana falando disso e é um problema que a gente não pode mais ignorar. As principais vítimas de violência sexual são crianças e nós não podemos contribuir com isso. Não dá para ser ingênuo, gente.
Okay, I did want to show you that those two videos because essentially the problems are not just cyberbullying, they're problems that some children unwittingly, unknowingly are bringing on themselves. I also want to share a situation where several years ago, during the pandemic, I was delivering an assembly online to the children and someone took a screenshot of my face and then they used that and are still using that as a sticker in certain WhatsApp forums. I know for a fact I'm not the only one, but here is a screenshot of a conversation. That's me several years ago as a sticker. This is obviously a crime in Brazil, to take an image that does not belong to you and then manipulate the image. I've seen cases involving children taking screenshots or taking the profile image of another child and manipulating the image as well. It goes to show these are not difficult skills to master. You can easily manipulate images and turn them into stickers. In a moment, I will show you how to check for WhatsApp sticker bank, just to ensure that children haven't got any stickers that they shouldn't have. Here's the Brazilian legislation that we have on the use of images and taking images that don't belong to us. It can be a crime. Here is some real screenshots from previous bullying cases that we've dealt with. Again, the children responsible for the bullying had no idea what they were doing was bullying. It was just too easy to write those messages. You can't see this screen too well, but basically another child had taken the image of a girl in his class and distorted the image to make her look a particular way and make fun, basically, and it was very, very hurtful. But to be very honest with you, I have a mountain of these sorts of screenshots that have been emailed to me over the years of WhatsApp groups. So if I was to say my experience, the biggest problem out of all of the social media, I would say it's WhatsApp. WhatsApp is our biggest problem. It causes so much pain, so much suffering for children. The other social media accounts at this age can still be an issue, like Instagram, in the ways we've seen, but day to day, in terms of conflicts and problems entering the school, most of them happen through WhatsApp. And it's very easy for conversations in a WhatsApp group or between children in WhatsApp to escalate into a conflict. There can be misunderstandings. We see misunderstandings every single day in school, in the playground, between children. The problem is in WhatsApp, it becomes amplified. Some children get excluded or blocked from groups. And then there's that issue of children feeling left out. But the end of the story is always the same. There's suffering involved. So, as I said to the children yesterday in assembly, and as we repeat this message, the biggest message we give is to think before you post. So ask yourselves this question. This is what I said to the children yesterday. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? And is it necessary? And is it kind? Or, to make it even shorter, is it kind and is it helpful? If it's not kind and it's not helpful, why post it? If it's not kind and it's not helpful, don't post it. So that's kind of work we've been doing in the Good Citizens Club, and also at the beginning of the year in ICT lessons when we do these lessons on e-safety and digital citizenship. And this is a message we come back to again and again in the PSHE discussions that we have. Here's some other issues I've just mentioned to do with WhatsApp groups. Children being humiliated, children being blocked. Also, adult links is something else we've seen forwarded in WhatsApp groups. And then, of course, another issue we've seen even as young as year 3, we've seen children pretending to be someone else in certain forums. So we've had children create, even in year 3, we've had a case of a child who managed to get into the email account of another child, bearing in mind that the passwords are easier to remember, to spread gossip or to break up another child's friendship. So these things are issues that we see a lot in school, but they're not unique to the British school. They're not unique to Brazil. They're the sort of problems we have all over the world. But it can be shocking for us to see this as adults because, of course, when we were children, we didn't have access to such powerful technology. So why these problems matter? It's sort of like stating the obvious, but we know there's long-term social and emotional problems that come from using social media at such a young age. We also know that, as you saw in the case of my photo, my sticker that was taken several years ago, I imagine someone in Urca now has this sticker and is still sharing it around every now and again. It's a digital footprint. It stays. It's going to be very, very difficult for me now to try and get that sticker removed. And also, and very importantly, there's legal implications. So these things can be a crime. This sort of behavior, this sort of cyberbullying, it is a crime. These are some recommendations that our educational psychology team have previously shared with parents in terms of screen time from the Society of Pediatrics in Brazil for recommended screen time for different children. So for children in year 6, between 6 to 10 years of age, it should not be more than 2 hours a day of screen time, and that includes time on the smartphone. There can be signs and signals that children are spending too much time online. Hiding devices when parents are nearby, social withdrawal, not wanting to play outside, not wanting to go to the beach, and having multiple hidden social media profiles. You may also see many deleted messages as well. That can be another sign of excessive tech use. As I mentioned, in terms of what we're doing at school, at the beginning of the year we have a number of e-safety and digital citizenship lessons. We talk about consent, we talk about talking to an adult, and also towards the end of this presentation I'm going to show you ways that you can report a concern. So if you think of a social media platform like Facebook or Instagram, usually all of the social media platforms have a report button where you can report a concern. In school, we've created a workaround so that if you see an issue on WhatsApp, you can report it to us by filling in a form. And I'm just going to show you that towards the end of the presentation. Obviously, talk often to your children about their social media use, about their use of their smartphone, what they're sharing online, just having that conversation, keeping the conversation natural, having clear boundaries, making sure the child is not taking the cell phone to the bedroom, only keeping devices and online technologies within communal spaces. Reviewing their devices together. I mentioned about the stickers. This is how you can check their sticker library. So in the top left-hand corner here above the digital virtual keyboard, you can access the stickers. So any stickers that have been modified, any images that have been taken, you have the ability to access those. There's a close-up. By the way, this presentation will be shared later on, so don't worry about taking photos. Helping your child post responsibly. We mentioned about making sure the idea is instilled in children to ask themselves, is it kind, is it helpful? Share positive moments. So one of the things that I'm trying to do in school is to capture positive moments on social media and share those with you. Yesterday there was a Year 6 student who had created an absolutely beautiful monthly reading project display. Really, really nice. So I took a photo of that and I shared it with the parents and also with our marketing team, who may share it on their social media channels with permission from the parents, because we want to be using social media in a positive way. Privacy settings are a big one. Oftentimes we see children who may have Instagram accounts have their accounts public, so anyone in the world can go on their Instagram channel and see the photos they're posting. We educate children at the beginning of the year to be very critical about what they post, not to give too much information away to the outside world. It's important, obviously, to remind the children not to be sharing personal information, like about what school they're going to, or obviously their home address, or to post any photos that can reveal their location or identity. We've certainly, I don't know about Brazil, but certainly in the UK, there's been several incidents where children have been kidnapped, or there's been some child abuse by an adult who has been grooming a child online. Sadly, these things do happen, but with education and awareness, it's becoming less frequent. Our educational psychologists, Miss Luciana and Miss Carol, did a fantastic job towards the end of last year, creating a family digital citizenship contract that you can use at home. That's now been published, and we've got physical copies for you to pick up at the end of this presentation. They're in English and Portuguese. They're on the round table at the back near the coffee. Please do take one. We're going to leave some extra copies in Estefania and Juliana's office. And this is a contract that you can use with your child. You can both read it and you can both sign it. And it's basic expectations of how to use digital technologies responsibly. I want to just show you one last video that I came across recently. One of my big concerns with digital technologies is the next step. And I think it's very important we're proactive in anticipating problems before they happen. So one of the issues, and you may have already noticed this if you have a Facebook account, is the amount of deep fakes. So deep fakes are images that are created using artificial intelligence, or if they're not created from scratch, they take an image of someone and then that image is manipulated to make them appear in a role or in a context that they were never in. So a recent one at the moment going around is one of Donald Trump dressed as a pope. It's very easy to make. They look incredibly realistic. You know, the implications are frightening in terms of images of political leaders being taken and their voices being cloned. There's a lot of that going on, and the technology is accelerating very quickly. So I'm going to just show you this very short video now, which I hope will play. But essentially the video will show the emerging safeguarding challenges. I think our internet access to the internet has just dropped. That's okay. We're towards the end of the presentation. I'll come back to the video. On the parent portal, we've recently inserted an anonymous form for you to complete. If you come across any inappropriate behaviour online and you would prefer not to expose yourselves as being the person who's an upstander and has identified that information, you can complete this anonymous form. And that anonymous form will give you the opportunity to share any screenshots, any names and details with us as a school. So it's kind of like our report button, if you will. So please use that. It's in a couple of locations on the parent portal, and we've also put it on the student intranet, so it's for students to complete as well. And lastly, our final message is the goal is not to control but to guide. We want to help children become responsible, critical and kind thinkers. And we mentioned about the partnership between home and school. That digital contract is here for you to take away today. We've been talking to the children regularly in different forums about what bullying is. We've come up with a child-friendly definition of bullying. This is Miss Luciana in our Good Citizens Club not that long ago. We came up with a definition which all of the children could understand alongside the legal definition, but it's about being mean to another person. All children across the school were involved in this. They all contributed to the definition. We all talked about strategies we can use, but the main idea that we keep repeating is be an upstander, be a good citizen and a good digital citizen. They're just simple messages, but we repeat again and again. But it is a big, big challenge. And I think, honestly, we're doing a lot at the school, but there's still more we can do. And this is why this conversation is very, very helpful. So I really value the points you've made. I do want to just show you this last video, and then there'll be a little bit more time for any more questions. All right, I'm going to show you this last video quickly. And as I say, this is my biggest concern based on the trajectory, the journey of travel in terms of emerging threats with artificial intelligence.
Hey Mom, hey Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me, just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody. I know for you these pictures are just memories, but for others, they are data. And for me, maybe the beginning of a horrible future. A future where my identity can be stolen, where I can go to prison for things that I would never do. Imagine my credit score being destroyed, Dad. Or my voice copied to scam you, Mom. I need you to send me money, please. I don't want to become a meme. Humiliated by everyone at school.
Kill yourself, you fucking loser.
don't want this. What you share online is like a digital footprint that will follow me around for the rest of my life. I'm telling you this because I know you love me and would never do anything to harm me. So please, Mom, please, Dad, protect my virtual privacy.
So obviously not the most pleasant video to watch, but it does raise our awareness of the dangers that are out there and increasing sadly with artificial intelligence and deep fakes. Thank you very much for coming. Don't forget to pick up the pamphlet. As I mentioned, after this presentation, I will be going to each class individually with a similar presentation to talk to the children as well. But the main thing, and I think the main message, is it's a homeschool partnership. And if you do become aware of any issues and you would prefer to be anonymous in bringing those issues to us for whatever reason, that is absolutely fine. And you can access, yep, I'll make it big. You can access the anonymous safeguarding form here. There is also this email that you can send to us. If you send a message to that email address, it will go to our Brazilian director, Ms. Fernanda, who is also our designated safeguarding lead. Will go to me as assistant deputy safeguarding lead as well, and our team around the child. So we can analyse the case and we will take action and follow up. But thank you very much for your comments. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.